Chapter 7, Lesson 3, on page 316, we're going to do some linear equations and graphs. Chapter 7, Lesson 3 introduces to two new concepts, the x-intercept and the y-intercept. I made a little graph, help us keep track of what we're talking about. Remember, the x-intercept, here's the x-axis, is where this linear equation, this line in red, crosses the x-axis. The y-intercept, again, is where this linear equation in red crosses the y-axis. And these 2 points in blue, the first one is the x-intercept. It's crossing the x-axis. And the interesting thing about that is when you look at that point, the value for y turns out to be 0. Conversely, when we're looking at the y-intercept, the value for x turns out to be 0. So this makes life much easier for us when we're making linear equation graphs. Chapter 7, Lesson 3 asks us to make some graphs just using the x and y intercepts. So instead of having to use 3 or more points, we know that we can make a line with any 2 points, and all we have to do is connect the dots. So the concept of the x and the y intercept make life much easier for us. Problem number 17 is x minus 3 is equal to y. So let's make our t-chart. X minus 3 and y. So we're going to make x 0. X minus 3 is minus 3, so y turns out to be minus 3. For the other point, we're going to make y equals 0. Remember, we're finding our x-intercept now. So y is equal to 0, so we have x minus 3 better be equal to 0. So x minus 3 better be equal to 0 because y is 0. So x turns out in this example to be 3. So we have 2 points, 0, negative 3, and 3 and 0. So with those 2 points on our graph, we can go ahead and plot them, connect the dots, and we're all done. So let's go with 0, negative 3. 1, 2, negative 3 is right here. X is 0, so there's my first point. Our second point is x is 3, y is 0, so we got a tick 1, a tick 2, a tick 3. There's x is 3, y is 0, so that looks like that one right there. So we're going to grab our straight line ruler. We're going to get the 2, connect the dots, and extend the line, and that's what our graph looks like. So our line should be extended on both sides, so it goes on forever. So just using the x and the y intercept, we can come up with an equation. The graph for the equation. If we set x equal to 0, we find the y-intercept. If we set y equal to 0, we find the x-intercept. Let's try another problem. Number 33, 3y is equal to 2x minus 7. Again, we're going to use y equals 0, x equals 0. So we'll make our little t-chart. X and y. Let's back up. X will be 0 and y will be 0. So let's try this one first. X is 0. So we have, looks like 3y is equal to 2 times 0 minus 7, or 3y is equal to negative 7. 2 times 0 is 0. Or dividing both sides by 3, y is equal to negative 7 over 3. So let's put that in here, negative 7/3. Let's try this second one. 3y is equal to 2x minus 7, but this time y is going to be 0. So we have 3 times 0 is equal to 2x minus 7. Or 0 is equal to 2x minus 7. Or if we add if we add 7 to both sides, 2x is equal to 7. I added 7 to both sides. And if I divide both sides by 2, then x turns out to be 7 over 2. So we have two ordered pairs, 0, negative 7/3, and 7 halves and 0. Interesting thing on our graph, we may think that everything is in units of 1, but it doesn't have to be. So on the y-axis, I think we're going to turn everything into thirds. So this is going to be negative 1/3, negative 2/3, negative 3/3. Hard to read a little bit. Negative 4/3, negative 5/3, negative 6/3, negative 7 over 3. And conversely, up here we would have 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, 5/3, 6/3, and 7/3. On the x-axis, though, we're going to want to have things in halves because it's going to make life a little bit easier for us. So on this one, we might go 1 half, 2 halves, 3 halves, 4 halves, 5 halves, 6 halves, 7 over 2, negative 1 half, negative 2 halves, negative 3 halves, negative 4 halves, negative 5 halves, negative 6 halves, negative 7 over 2. So this scale looks like it's going to be in halves, and this scale is going to be in thirds, and that's perfectly okay. So we have 0, negative 7 over 3. There's my point. We have 7 over 2 and 0. There's my point. We'll grab our ruler, connect our dots, and our equation looks like something like that. My snap to grid is on, so we should turn that off. And I'll be able to, move my lines so that they line up exactly right. Just like that. So in kind of a quick review, remember we can change the scales of both graphs. We don't always have to have them in the same units. This one turns out to be in the units of thirds. And this one turns out to be in the units of halves, which is okay. So using the x and y intercepts, simple way to make some graphs. And make sure you use graph paper and label all your axes and things, and we'll be in great shape. Thanks so much. We'll see you guys all tomorrow.